Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to Humpday Hangout with Fire Engineering. As always, I'd like to thank the Clarion Events Group and Chief David Rhodes for the opportunity. As all of us from Traditions Training and all my friends here get together, and we're going to talk the fire service in 2024. What's coming up, and what maybe their departments have on tap, what they're focusing on training. But we're going to give everybody a chance to speak here. My heart is full. I get to see all my friends here as the first of the year comes around. It's been a long time since we've had this many people on. We got a new addition with Eric Budd from Rescue 3 and the DC Fire Department, and Sammy Hittle disappeared again. If you all haven't seen his new look, it'll startle you, but he's on here. But we're going to start with Josh Burchick. Josh, good, and there he is. I wanted to warn everybody that Sammy was coming back, so. But we'll get started since we've got so many people on. So, Josh, what's going on in 2024 with you and your fire service? Okay.
Okay, sorry, we broke up. We're back in.
Josh, you're breaking up a little bit, so we're gonna move on here till you get reestablished. But hey, it's been. I just wanted to also recognize, Josh. You kind of broke out, but just give me a minute here. So, I'm going to give a shout out because it's been a long time since I've had my two of my best friends on the show. Obviously, that have been with Traditions Training for a very, very long time. That'd be Dan Shaw and Doug Mitchell. Both of them have gotten busy in their lives. This family and kids thing and fire department business, man, it's a killer. So I want to make that. We're going to talk to them. I want to make sure that I recognize that there are two back on here, and I also got Larry Schultz back on. So it's all a good thing. So we're going to go to newly promoted Lieutenant
you
Roger Steger.
Move on to Roger. I'm sorry.
Let's see if my internet can stay with us. Yeah. So a little bit more in civilization than Josh is, but so that's just dynamic times ahead. I think sometime this year our line of duty death report will be complete. So that investigation. So everybody's anxious to see what comes of that. So I know they've partnered with UL on some of the stuff. So that should be interesting. Continuing training. We have a good turnover at work in the aspect of a quantity of turnover. So we're losing some experience as guys and girls retire. Some of the senior members, battalion chiefs and whatnot are retiring and moving on. So younger officers coming up, younger firefighters coming in. So making the training as realistic and attainable as possible. So prepare them as best we can. So we have some programs running at our training school now that's above and beyond the basic firefighting level, the state-based MIFRE stuff. So creating some of our own programs and getting people ran through that with a lot of positive feedback. So hopefully be able to make all that go and get as many people through as we can.
So, Roger, I mean, all this new training and everything, it's all fully supported by the department, and we're putting companies out of service. And
yes, so some of the programs are done on duty. So sometimes it's advance notice, other times it's coming in the morning and you find out you're detailed out there. So depending on what the program is, if it's an on duty one or there's a couple programs running outside of normal duty hours, as far as you'll either be detailed or on overtime to come out. One of the programs that some of the guys, Kyle was one of the head, or Kyle Stevens was one of the heads setting it up, was our advanced firefighter removal class. So that's a 4-day straight, fairly intense program that's done with either details or overtime. So you're not on duty during that entire 4-day program.
I gotcha. So then let's move to my old alma mater and the boss of my alma mater in Fairfax. So there's something always going on in Fairfax because Dan Shaw's social media is so positive that just these rays of sunshine that come from Fairfax County every day. So,
and we're hiring, so it's always sunny in operations. You should apply and come join us. No, all's good. I mean, we're dealing with consistent staffing issues like everyone else across the country, and doing some dynamic stuff there. But the two things we're really going to focus on going in 2024, which is really, we've already started this process, but hoping to kind of close the loop on fireground performance. And one of the things we introduced was a suppression QA process. So every fire we go to, and this is the question I pose to all our chiefs, is how do you know if your last fire was a success or not? Arbitrary, depending on who's answering the question. So with our third safety officer, it goes on a working fire when they have a RIT task force, which that they arrive, working fire, you get another engine, truck, and medic and a battalion for the RIT task force. That safety officer completes this, and really what we were focusing on is 7 fundamental skills on the fire ground: our ability to position, water supplies, our communication, first line, second line, primary, secondary, and ladders and ventilation. And how well did we do on that? And so we're able to now look at really about a day after the fire, I can see every fire we run, what ladders we threw, what hose lines we pulled, did we position correctly, did we hit all the elements of what our on-scene report is, was our command and control good? That's coupled with pictures and videos they take so we can see it real time when they arrive on the incident. And then the other part of it is we capture all the audio. So within about a couple days, all 1,500 members in the operations will get that dashboard, and they can see every fire we go to and listen to that fire. And it gives us the ability not to only be able to see what our performance is, to make sure we're kind of cutting the mustard on what we need to do, and we're reaching that benchmark that we set forth. But then we're also giving feedback. We're giving good, relevant feedback, but it also drives the way we train. If we see a deficiency in one battalion, we're not going to make the whole department train that way. But if we continue to see that something's dropping off, and I'll give you a perfect example. In our manuals in the Nova region, one of the last things you say when you finish your lap is about command. You're either going to retain the command or you transfer it. And we see that is dropped off significantly in our suppression QAs not being completed. Well, we have essentially 10 battalions. So we've increased over the last couple of years to this number. And we think that's probably more, not from lack of compliance, more because they finish a lap. It's a wink and a nod to the chief who's there in the front yard. He's got command. They just dropped that statement. So it gives us the to do, and then it helps us with apparatus design because then we can look at what the hose lines we pull, what ladders we throw. I mean, we don't really throw 35s, but man, we throw some 24s and 28s and 16s all day long. So when we think about the way we spec apparatus, are we just doing it because we always have, or are we doing it because that's what we need for our performance? And then the last part of what I'm really excited for us to start diving into is we brought Jason Bresler's group, Leadership Under Fire, in last year to start our own mental performance initiative in Fairfax, something Doug's very well versed in. And that's really the last part of the equation on the fire ground of what we've never really looked at and teach our people and train them on, is to understand the impact of stress on human performance. So to start to build our own program, we're really looking forward to jumping in that and getting our trainers built out and using Jason's group to kind of support us as we build that out more robustly in every aspect of what we do, into the daily training that happens in the companies, all the way up to what we're doing at battalion, division level, and then the department wide. So looking forward to it. Should be a good 2024.
Yeah, you're really having a rough life when your third safety officer gets dispatched on the call. It's got a real rough life there in Fairfax. So
we care.
So one of the few guys that still rides the rigs, is our captain, Doug Mitchell, who we haven't seen in a long time. Man, that guy's been super busy with his job. And Doug, what is going to happen in the FDNY in 2024?
Well,
if you guys could get this lithium-ion battery fire thing under control, that would really help the rest of us.
Yeah, and that was the number one talking point on my list, is that battery-powered mobility devices have become our bread and butter, right? And then those are in all types of building stock. So, as Larry said, knowing your buildings is always so important. The fortunate and unfortunate thing is these devices are everywhere. They are in brownstones, they are in tenements, they are in the rears of taxpayers, they are plugged into sidewalks, they're everywhere. And that has certainly kept us extremely busy this past year. And moving forward, I really don't see any relief. I know that there is potential legislation. I know that there's involvement from UL and people higher up the political chain that have recognized that this is a serious problem. And it's not that it's an urban problem, but I think it's more common in the urban environment as far as the understanding to be able to move people around fast, right? Fast, easy, quick, and relatively cheap. So the batteries and the secondary market, I think, is really where they're trying to make a push to have some sort of regulation on the battery part of it. So anyway, that's kind of like our number one concern. I think moving forward, we're hoping that we get some injunction and insight from our partners across the city. Again, so that people have, the best ability of both worlds, right? They have the ability to get to places throughout the city quickly, easily, and efficiently. However, they do so safely. And obviously that puts us in a safer environment also. Dan kind of alluded to staffing, and, that plagues our department. Our guys are really working hard throughout the city, working overtime. And, as a company officer, and those of us in the room that are chief officers, operationally, we have to understand that, our people do need time off. They do need breaks. And to Josh's point early on about mental health, and as to Dan's point in the middle there, as far as mental performance, we have to keep that in mind when we're talking about our employees or our volunteers or the people that we're working with going to fires and emergencies, understanding that they do need a time and a place to unwind and have some downtime away from the job. The impact, then that falls back onto the families, and that dynamic, leads to stressors that can lead to poor performance, whether that's in the office, in the firehouse, or on the fireground. So I think that's something that for 2024 we will continue to try to bolster our staffing and try to bolster our concern and well-being for our people. And the last thing that I'm looking forward to specifically for 2024, we're in the pipeline for a new apparatus. So our rig is getting replaced. It's been 11 years. So, 10 years is when we kind of go through our life cycle of our apparatus. So our new rig is here. It's not striped, but it's got its radios. And so we're looking forward to getting that on the streets, putting it through the paces, and kind of making it our own. So those are kind of the three new things that I think for 2024. Operationally, we need to try to ensure that we maintain an open mind when it comes to techniques and things that are out there. Have an understanding of what works and doesn't work. Maintain an open mind when it comes to the challenges that we're going to face, and recognize that the tried and true does work the majority of the time. However, there's always room for improvement in any of our operations and in any of our departments and in any of us as individuals. So take the time to enjoy not only your career, your time on the job, but your family and those things that you enjoy outside of the job.
Doug, that was rather. You're on it. This break has got you going there. So
see, this is what that's why I've been holding out. I don't want to. I only have 15 minutes and then I'm done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely can't come back to them.
So hey, in the last year, obviously, it's been pretty challenging, for all of us being busy that have been members or stepped away from traditions for a little while and come back and everything. But we took on a how the company started originally. When Dan and I did our first classes together, it was all about rapid intervention, saving your own, and all that. And we kind of, took a different shift as the company grew. To engine and truck and enforceable entry, engine company stuff, command, and all that. But we took on a new partner with Eric Budd from Rescue 3, obviously a Eastern Shore, Maryland guy, and so that automatically gives him a couple points on the application process. But so he's really big into that. So Eric, just try to, what are some of the stuff that you've kind of put out through us, and that you do yourself, and how we're going to incorporate that into traditions. I know Roger's helping you out with that. So
yeah, so we've been talking about some different stuff with realistic training as far as whether it be a down firefighter, which you go through a mayday, or you just happen to be inside the building and a mayday occurs right next to you, and going from making contact with the down firefighter all the way through removal, through the worst case scenario of firefighter CPR. So real-time assessment of mental status, airway, management, and all that kind of stuff, the different airway delivery options, packaging, and then removal from the basement, the first floor, upper floors, and the roof. Would it be a truck driver or something like that? So covering all the different options for removal from the building, and then worst case scenario gear removal for firefighter CPR. And to take it a step further than that, like some of this stuff has been as simple as, like, you're in a scenario where you have just the tools and equipment that you chose to keep in your pockets, and the tools that you're carrying in the building. We don't have the access to get to stuff from the outside. So if we base our training off a scenario like that, number one, it makes you think real long and hard about what you're carrying. And number two, it forces you to find the worst case scenario for, the example that the firefighters down in the basement, and we got to bring them up a set of narrow, steep stairs, and you only have what you brought with you. That kind of changes things. But if we have a plan for that, and then, the next step would be that you're, for us, the squad driver's outside and he's able to bring some equipment in, or you're a block out when that mayday occurs. Now we can bring in different equipment that makes the job a little bit easier. So, working through some of those processes and just training on worst case scenario kind of stuff, might not be the exact plan that we want to execute on game day on the fire, but if we've practiced on it enough with our outside training, then it's makes it easier. So that's the big thing that we have been working on the last couple of months. Roger's been a big help with trying to move that in the right direction. So hopefully we'll see some more of that coming into 2024. For DC specifically, we've been doing annual training and quarterly training for the last year. Every company gets a preset date where all the members, whether they're detailed or not, everybody goes out of service for 12 hours. They go to the training academy and they hit, they'll stretch lines, they throw ladders, they do the PES refresher for bailout. So there's a list of stuff that those guys do. In addition to that, we have a group of guys from the instructor in-service training office that does quarterly training, where they'll go to a battalion firehouse and a couple units will go out of service, and they're hitting different topics like, SOL operation or radios or maydays, or our SOGs just changed at the beginning of December for the third new engine company is now the RIT company. So some adjustments there, and, that was rolled out through that program. So just some big changes there that we're kind of growing into, and looking forward to what 2024 has to offer.
Well, I'm sure there's some operational changes coming. There's no
Sure.
ifs about that. I think we're going to get rid of these 2023 Seagrave engines, and I think we're going to go back to steamers and horses if that guy has his way.
Yeah.
So, but so Josh, you're back with us now, I see. Oh goodness.
All right, how about now?
Oh yeah, much better. He's a truck guy, man. He fixed the water leak just like you guys do.
Nice.
Man, every issue I could probably have, I'm having it right now. Sorry about that. So I think what we're tying a lot of these things in. What I was hitting earlier was a combination of emotional, mental, and the physical performance of the firefighter. So I think for so often we're hitting one avenue, but I think now we're starting to realize that firefighters are humans first. And there are a lot of things that are playing into how we're operating and training in the firehouses and on the fire ground. So when we realize that adrenaline induced responses, that emotional state of the firefighter is less than desirable, that's going to have a negative effect on the fire ground or whatever they're dealing with at home, tying in the mental health side of things. So if there's things going on at home or within the firehouse culture that are messing you up, that's going to affect you on the fire ground. If you can't handle the adrenaline induced responses on the fire ground or in training, that's going to have a deleterious effect and mess with you. And then obviously there's always been the physical performance side of things, whether that's you being physically fit or you knowing the strategy and tactics of the job necessary to overcome whatever the incident is to stabilize the incident. So I think we've always done a good job of the physical side of things, the strategy and tactics, and we're always trying to advance that, which, you know, is our bread and butter and we love. But then when you start tying in, okay, this firefighter is becoming task saturated or the adrenaline response is getting to them, how do we now train and educate for all of these factors at play? And I think something that we're also flipping the script on and doing really well is we're kind of getting outside the fire service, learning what other professions and industries are doing, whether that's sports psychology or other in extremist professions. And then we just changed the name to firefighting. We learn what they're learning, changed the name to firefighting, and we're trying to bring it back. And I certainly know with a lot of Mayday and fireground survival stuff, that's been huge for us in our department in flipping the script and getting even deeper in the weeds and getting more nuanced with how all these factors are affecting what we do. So we're not just training firefighters to become more tactically proficient, but we're also cueing them into what's happening for the mental state, for the emotional state, and bringing down the anxiety, whether that's something going on at home or whether that's actually the adrenaline getting to you. And when you flip the script, you can use all those things for good. So it's been pretty neat to see really young men and women reduce the learning curve in our training academy and when they're out on the fire ground, because we're starting to incorporate all these other prongs of the human element. So that's something I'm pretty stoked for and that we're training for, and just kind of advancing the human element within the fire service as much as we can.
You know, and I think it needs to be brought up also. I mean, obviously, for those who don't know, Josh also has a podcast that he does, Forged and Unbroken. So be sure to search that on all your social media platforms. But I meant also, Josh, I mean, explain to me, explain to the people that are going to listen to this, you also do give back to the fire service. And how do you do that with the, contributing all this, whatever you make from the Forged and Unbroken, giving it back to these charitable foundations. So, and we lose him. Josh?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, thank you for that. I, just trying to get as much information out there as possible. Pretty much talking about those three topics: the human side of it, the mental performance, emotional performance, physical performance. And I cast a wide net, so talking to a lot of different people. And appreciate the shout out. There's some good information on there.
Yep. I mean, there's not enough days of the week and not enough hours in a year that our Clarion Events Group and Fire Engineering can put every one of the instructors across the country out. So, a lot of our, firefighters go out and, start these podcasts and stuff like that. Josh has some great information, stuff that I don't think about. My brain's not wired like Josh's, but it's always interesting to listen to. Plus he had Roger on there one time, so that brought the show down a little bit. But it was Roger being Roger. So that's what we all love him for. So I want to introduce the guy with the Squad 18 hat on. For those of you that don't know, this is Sam Hittle. I know he doesn't look like the normal Sam Hittle. He doesn't have a Scully cap on. He has something above his lip. If you want any comments you want to write about that, please do so. But Sammy, other than your challenging SCBA problems that you have in Wichita, obviously an inside joke for all of us, but what's getting ready to happen in the middle of the country here in the 2024? And better yet, what are you doing in 2024? Like producing more videos? I mean, obviously there's been getting some pretty good hits on fire engineering. So,
am I getting an echo there?
you're chopping up a little bit, Sam, but
It's chopping up a little bit.
Yep.
All right. I'll make this short then. But I think one of the continuing problems for the fire service in 2024 is going to be just people to be interested in the fire service. And once we do get them to be interested in the fire service, trying to retain. Also, at the level training, we're competing with a lot of stimulation. People are stimulated from their phones, TVs, from fans at work, from their family, and trying to find meaningful training that they can retain and they're willing to participate in without overburdening them, but at the same time without watering the message down. I think that's one of the greatest challenges going forward with some of the kids that are coming.
okay, Sam, he was chopped up a little bit, but hopefully, we'll be able to fix all that. So, so we'll go to our last one. I mean, if Larry has a good internet connection and doesn't chop up, that really says a lot that, you're having problems, Sam. That if his is perfect and yours is not. So, Larry, we left you for last as requested. So, whoever you want to beat up, you beat up.
No, I needed to think about the question. I know you said you sent the agenda out last night, but I didn't see it. So a little behind the eight ball on what the topic was, but good stuff. And I always like to hear the other guys go. Honestly, the salt of the earth, Danny, Sammy, Roger, just we have had a lot of fun along the way, and I think we've learned a lot from each other. A lot of good conversations, but always get a kick out of listening to you guys. Roger, congratulations on your promotion, buddy. I couldn't be more proud of you. Kudos to you for hanging in there and staying after it, for sure. So 2024, honestly, for me, 2024 will just be a repeat of 2006. That's when I started in the ops chief's realm of things, and in a lot of ways, my focus has remained the same, and that is on performance. And I think that's just been enhanced over the years as I've got more involved with the LODD investigations, and just really seeing a couple sad and tragic trends. And I don't think we'll train our way out of it. I don't think everybody on here talked about a lot of good things, and those are all noble things to talk about, things we should be talking about. But at the end of the day, poor decision making is continuing to be the brunt of what I'm going to focus on. Everybody on this call, it doesn't matter. We have a squad wagon driver all the way up to Danny Shaw, who's an ops chief. Every one of you has a group of people that work for you, and maybe it's 5 people, maybe it's 25 people, maybe it's 1,500 people. And although they would never say this to you, they have one expectation of all of us who manage a company or a battalion or a shift or a department, and that is not to get them killed needlessly. At the end of the day, it comes down to that. I don't know that anybody's ever articulated that to their boss, but as a boss, your job is to not get your people needlessly hurt or killed. Tragically, we know it happens, and sometimes there's nothing to do about it. But that should always be the number one focus. There is no program. There is no new initiative in the fire service. There's been nothing in the last 30 years worthy of shedding any attention on anything other than not getting your people needlessly hurt or killed unnecessarily for a lack of reasoning. And so that will remain my priority again going into 2024. Here we start January off with a 30-day stand down and review every operational procedure we have. And again, I get it. Knowing procedures is one element of anything. But you know, when it comes to human performance, which has been talked about a lot, stress, decision making, that the more things we can make muscle memory, the more bandwidth we're giving our brain to be able to think through things in those high stress situations. Right? Think about it. When you can don your PPE without having to think about it, when you can stretch a line without having to think about it, when Sammy heads up on a roof and vents a roof without thinking about it, it gives him bandwidth in his brain to be able to think about, what am I going to do next? What's the next decision I'm going to make? And so the same thing does go for operational procedures, written procedures. Written procedures take you so far. I don't think that is certainly not the golden dust. But having an intimate knowledge of what your procedures are frees up a little bit of bandwidth. And when you free up bandwidth, you make better decisions. Inevitably, that's how it helps. That's the piece there. And so we'll continue to focus on quality and decision making. Right? Again, a topic everybody's talked about. Helping officers make better tactical decisions. And the last piece of that is, as much as all of us have read about this, the most important piece, and I don't know that there is a solution to this, is experience. And this is not to delegitimize anybody's experience here. But you know, Doug is sitting in the bottom left-hand screen there. He you know, 20 plus years in the FDNY, in the Bronx most of that time. He is a guy that is achieving a high level of experience in his career. I don't know when it kicked in for him, but I bet you when Doug thinks about it, was, you know, maybe in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years is when he hits a stride and he shows up at a pretty good job, and he doesn't really have to think about what he's doing. He is literally going off of explicit knowledge, right? Dan Shaw, Rickey Riley, Roger, long backstep people. Sam, you guys have been on the job a long time. You have gained a tremendous amount of experience, but you are outliers in the fire service. And so what do? Not only for officers who have great knowledge, and this is the great dichotomy here. We said in our classes when we taught 10, 15 years ago that this is an incredibly smart generation. And it is. Generationally, these guys are certainly smarter than I ever came up in. I think we accepted that, and we thought there's a lot of great things, and there are a lot of great things about it. But somehow along the line, we forgot that there is a big difference between education and experience. And it's not until you gain experience that you are making your best decisions. And so how do you get experience around the world unless you're in big, FDNY, Chicago, et cetera, et cetera. In the interim, we got to stick with it and use training and quality assurance to make sure that we're holding people accountable to better decision making, slowing down on the fire ground, and trying to make sense, truly make sense of what it is they're seeing when they get on the scene of something. What does it mean when I see a building and it's doing this? What should I take? What are my next steps to do? So all good stuff. There's no answer to that, but it'll just be another year of the same old for me. So it's good to see all you guys. Love you to death, all of you.
Man, I think I should have gone before you, because you always say all the good things for sure. So, I think in our 2024 is what I'm going to focus on as some of my counterparts is some of the stuff that Larry talked about is just to have some fireground consistency, ensuring that our firefighters and officers understand the mission is that fire and it's not for individual company achievements, to ensure that, when we show up on that fire, all the proper benchmarks are being met and our tasks are being completed and radio traffic is spot on. We've been saying a lot lately, words matter. And, sure, of course, fewer words are even better, just due to the sheer amount of radio traffic that is happening on our fire grounds and the sheer amount of busy signals that are being received. And God forbid that busy signals on a firefighter that needs the radio the most, as opposed to some needless radio traffic that's happening out there on our fire grounds. But, once again, like Larry said, and not, with a big department comes a lot of chiefs, and obviously trying to spread that experience around is difficult. So going back to, simulations, going back to having simulations that put some kind of stressor on the chief. Now, you're just sitting in a garage, or you're just sitting in a classroom and you're going through a simulation, but to create the distractions, to create some of the task saturation, to try to, for lack of better, try to get them to fumble. And it's not to make them fumble in a bad way. It's to make them fumble and then see the importance of how to recover, the importance of, having a properly filled out tactical worksheet, having somebody sitting in the car or the buggy with you and making sure that they're keeping the check on everything that you're doing. Hey, we missed this company. Hey, we missed that company. Did we get this task done? We get that not task done. And, the day of the single battalion chief or incident commander inside a car, those days need to be over, and they need to be over faster than humanly possible. It's just that team concept needs to be embraced, and, making sure that, both the people in the car are engaged with the fireground, and one's just not sitting there twiddling his thumbs, waiting for something bad to happen. But, be engaged either, on the radio or on the tactical worksheet, engage with the companies as they come up to the car, any of those things. But, we have to ensure that the 2 or 3 people that are inside this command team are paying attention to the people that are in the IDLH, because they're the people that are in danger. So we have to always be looking out for them. The only other piece is just advancing training. I think in my own department, we're having a new push on training standards, which is a great thing. And, I'm a little on the structured training, or I'm sure there's a better word for it, that you get from academies or you get through colleges or universities that, sponsor this, the certificate classes. I think I just went through a couple classes here recently where I thought that, the curriculum is not going to even prepare me or the people that were in the class with me for what's going to face them when they get out, either on the fire ground or they get out in a chief's position or a company officer position, how it's going to really prepare them. So, focusing on how we're going to get that training, that realistic approach to fireground problems, or even firehouse problems, or even what, Josh was talking about, people problems, how to get all that out there, and making sure our firefighters are better and our company officers are better and our chief officers are better. So that's a big plate for 2024, and it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but I think it's something that's going to help us move forward, and hopefully it gets better. So, Sammy, did you get all your stuff straightened out?
Yeah, who knows?
Yep, you sound great.
Is that better?
Yes, please. Retell us about your 2024.
Man, all right. I was just basically saying that something the fire service is experiencing, I think will continue to experience, is a lack of interest. When all of us came on, we were very, very grateful to get the job. It was very competitive. Nationwide, we're seeing people leave the job. So not only trying to get the right people interested, but also trying to retain them. And then the other thing I was saying is, when it comes to the training, we've got to be careful. We're competing with a lot of outside influences. We're competing with a lot of things that are going after their attention. And so when we do train, we're going to have to be very deliberate and make sure it's very meaningful, because their attention span and, Chief Schultz kept saying the bandwidth, their capacity, we're competing for it.
So I mean, you're in the company every day. So this is what you're seeing in the Midwest here, even with your own guys.
Yeah, I mean, we have that problem with Wichita Fire Department, like everybody does. I'm still very fortunate in the company that I keep. Those guys can go out as long as it's meaningful. Training to train, guys lose interest pretty quick. But if there's intent behind it, then they're on board.
I got you. So look, we're going to try to kind of wrap this up. We'll kind of go around the room, see if anybody's got any final thoughts. So we'll start with Roger, since you're immediately to my left here on my screen. So
I'm good. Just
God, it's like talking to Sammy, man. It's just
we try.
Yeah, you two are definitely trying. That's for sure.
No, just continue to spread the good word, and I really like what Sam just said. Training to train is one thing, but there has to be meaning behind it. So, and I think all of our departments, there's specific meaning that we need to have. So.
Okay, so when we talk about that training, so Sammy, what do you got going on at FDIC this year? That's a good question. So
we'll be taking over Champo's class, bringing that back, and then I'm going to be doing a lecture. It's going to be the truck essentials. It's going to look a little bit different. We've got some stuff coming in, and luckily, Hollander's still looking very hard, trying to get us a live structure or a real structure to work on, and that's really important when we talk about those truck company operations.
Okay, so when I look in the FDIC conference program, I don't see Champo's class. So what's the name of the class that
it's going to be the truck essentials again?
Okay.
So
all right. Gotcha.
We're basically continuing the truck class.
Okay, and Roger, you hump out with that also, right?
That's correct. I'll be right there next to Sam.
Matching heads. I completely understand. So
I won't have a mustache.
So, and then, the other two here, Dan and Doug, what's on tap for you guys for FDIC?
We're fortunate to do 2 classes this year. We're doing 25 Survive. Was that Monday or Tuesday, Doug? I can't remember.
Monday.
It's Monday. Yeah, Monday. Doing 25 Survive residential class, and then later in the week, an hour and 45-minute class on first due operations for engine, truck, and the chief, where we kind of just break down the fundamental things for each one of those aspects as much as we can in an hour and 45 minutes. To share as much information, but at a minimum, try to entertain.
Oh, you two are definitely entertaining. There's nothing else. So, guys, got anything final thoughts before we head out?
Yeah, I'll throw a few out.
Sure.
I know Dan has a few also. Just continue to take care of business, people. You know what I mean? Don't overthink it. Keep it positive. One, take care of your family, right? Take care of your family at home. There is somebody at home who loves you and wants you to come home in one piece, come home in the peace that they love and care and the person that you are to them. 2, take care of yourself. I know Josh kind of hit on some of that earlier on. Take care of yourself. That's both physically and mentally. If you need help, seek help. Talk to a mentor, talk to coworkers, look out for each other. At the end of the day, City Hall and the administrators will give great speeches at funerals, but if we can take care of each other and try to recognize problems and situations and stresses that are troubling each other, let's try to do that, right? We've been to enough funerals already. And then finally, maintain our operational readiness. Let's make sure that our rigs are ready to go. Back to the mantra that that Pete Lund, when he started Traditions Training, said, be combat ready. There's an inscription on the Fireman's Memorial on 100th Street in the west side of Manhattan that says, firemen, soldiers in a war that never ends. And I think that's a very fitting statement, and probably where Pete got a little bit of that combat ready mindset from. So maintain your operational awareness as we go into the new year. Again, look out for each other and ensure that you're doing the right thing at home.
Dan?
Yeah, I go back to something that Larry shared. I think it's a refinement in every rank, every profession, no matter where you work, what department, is continue to strive to try to achieve mastery. And mastery to meaning you got to the top of the mountain and you have nothing further to work on. And mastery is the process, and that process for us to become successful at what we do, to make it so it's muscle memory, is understand what fundamentals that you have to execute on the fire ground, continue to refine those and get better and better. Seek that feedback. If you're a leader, you should be giving honest feedback, and understand most people who come to fires come there with a desire to perform acts of commission and not acts of omission. So we can work with that every single day of the week. And then as you kind of work through that process, you got to refine your skill set. You got to be open to that dialogue. And then, is what Sammy talked about, and every organization faces this. We talk about mentoring, we talk about coaching, all good buzzwords, and really it's talent management, right? If you have a wealth of knowledge, which this collective group does, and I know they demonstrate this every day to go to work, but find that upcoming talent, because when you retire, they're not going to take like a 6-month mourning period and close the fire department down. Someone's going to come right in your position, and they'd be better served if you truly love your department, the people you work with, or you take a day off work, that you dump knowledge and experience you can into it, because that's what makes this job so fantastic. And it's resilient, it's adaptable, and we say it quite often every time that Doug and I are teaching, or I say a lot of times when we're doing retirements, is that no one cares about when you retire about the number of medals hanging from your Class A. What they care about is the impact you have on them, and there's no greater impact you can have on people when you achieve a level of mastery, and then you take that and you turn around and you dump it into other people to help them get to that same point. So continue to make the fire service how great it is, and that's for the people we work with and the people who leave an impact.
All righty. Well, I want to thank Dan and Doug for being on. I know it's been a long time. We're going to try to get these things scheduled with the Clarion Events Group, so you guys can fit it into your schedule. Both of them are very busy on Wednesdays, especially the first part of the month. So, Eric, you got some parting words for us before I get to Chief Schultz?
Sure. Yeah. I totally agree with everything that Doug and Dan and the other guys have said so far. Something else to tie this all together, something that I spoke with Sammy about was I feel like I personally have been fortunate to I live in Berlin, which as Roger and Ricky know, that won the title of America's Coolest Small Town several years ago. And then working in the nation's capital, I was thinking about a lecture about titling From America's Coolest Small Town to the Nation's Capital, and the privilege that we have to serve in the fire service. And I think that one of the ways that maybe Sammy, we could fix things for us is just taking that back to our guys, our newer guys, and helping them understand that, like, we are the privileged ones that get to walk into someone's house on the worst day of their lives and make a difference. And, with that responsibility comes, we're responsible for showing everybody everything that we know and, trying to make things better. And that's probably one of the biggest things. Like, I don't have a whole lot of free time at home to volunteer here in Berlin, but I do that because I want to be able to make a difference for if my wife or my daughter or stepson or in a crash, or God forbid our house catches on fire. Those guys need to be performing at a level that's sufficient to get the job done effectively and quickly. And when we just think about that privilege, we have a big responsibility to share that. So that's another big thing coming for me in 2024.
Yeah, and there's quite a few of us that are very fortunate to teach at FDIC. Eric put in for the first time this year, and didn't get picked, but that doesn't mean Sammy's going to work with him on some articles for fire engineering.
Yep.
And get him published there. And next year I'm I'm pretty confident that he'll be teaching at fire engineering with us, and it'll be great to have him out there. So
I appreciate that. Looking forward to opportunities.
yeah, but just got to keep on Sammy about editing your stuff for you, though.
He's been a great help so far, so looking forward to that process.
Chief Schultz, you got anything to close it out here?
No, Richard, it's nice to meet you. Welcome to the group. Danny, Doug, Ricky, Roger, Sam, you guys are absolutely the best. When I say I love you, I mean it. I love you guys. You're all salt of the earth, quality people. So the only thing I would leave everybody with, and this is something another guy I love, Dan McMaster, in the city of Alexandria. He never missed an opportunity to talk about selflessness in the fire service. And in essence, that's pretty simple. It means giving a crap about somebody other than yourself. Make other people's issues more important than yours. Care about people enough to put their wants and their needs and their desires ahead of your own. That's what this service is about. This service is all about being selfless, to the point that we see people give their lives for it. So be selfless. You're good. You'll take care of yourself. Put other people's needs ahead of yours, and you're already 3/4 of the way through what this job is about. So that's what I got, Rick.
All right. So I guess the last piece that I wanted to, this year has been pretty challenging. 2023 has been challenging, working on some reports with Larry, and worrying about the youth of the fire service, and not only the training that they're receiving, but how they're being trained, and are we training them correctly? So that's another focus that I want to get for 2024, is try to figure out where that gap is to help these younger firefighters, be better, and company officers and chief officers. And so, look, we want to thank Chief David Rhodes once again for the opportunity we have here on Humpday Hangout, and obviously with Clarion Events Group. Look, if you're out at FDIC, please be sure to go up to Sammy Hittle and pull his mustache to see if it's actually real or if it's glued on. I don't know which one it is, but be sure to, tug on that thing one time just to make sure that it's real. So we hope to see you at FDIC, and obviously you'll be reading some stuff from Eric here, hopefully, in fire engineering, and for Josh Burchick that had to cut off, and Scott Kraut and Kyle Stevens, who couldn't make all of it today. We greatly appreciate it. My heart's full by seeing all my friends on here. You guys don't have no idea how important you are to me each and every day, even though we don't get to talk or yuck it up every day. But the 10 minutes before we started, best 10 minutes I've had this year. So I greatly appreciate it. So from all of us at Traditions Training, we appreciate you listening to us. Thank you very much.